lack of facilities here. What I mean is like you're lifting. See, sir, basically a lot of things are going up. It doesn't mean like if you lift the lockdown, you will get a pandemic or like you will get exposed. Everyone is exposed because you can see a two type of thing, symmetric and asymmetric of COVID-19. One is directly you can see this thing, other people can't this thing. So you can't say either me can be affected or you, because it's not sure, because it differs with every people immunity. That's what it means here. So the healthcare system.
So just a second, Dr. Janardhan. We were discussing about health expenditure and relaxation of lockdown, right? Say that US is spending a lot more on their health expenses, right? So it is giving a significant amount.
What I'm meaning is like health expenses, infrastructure and health on over the investments on government budget on healthcare and structures are very low, which must be addressed because there is no doctors. There is no.
That's fine. But how does it relate to the relaxation of lockdown? Whether because you were talking for the topic, right? So you were saying that you want to relax the lockdown. So how does health expenditure relate to it? There is a relation. There might be a relation, but you need to provide a perspective to that. You were not able to explain that.
So, for example, if a person is like, okay, it's been relaxed. Now a person got COVID-19 due to a communal disease. So there must be hospitals. That's what I mean. It's not like 10 hospitals are there. People will be rushing up there. There is a scope of lot of getting furthermore exposed. That's what I mean.
It's all right. It's all right, Dr. Janardhan. I have one more question for you. What if because you're talking for relaxation of the lockdown, and you were also talking about your one of the important deliberation was because of the economy sinking, right? So which is an important aspect when it comes to lockdown. But let's just say that we remove the lockdown, all right, or we relax the lockdown, and this leads to multiple new cases rising every day and overwhelming our already underfunded health infrastructure. We might be looking at many more number of deaths. So how do you won't that also affect our economy if we are having this large numbers of deaths because of the relaxation lockdown that we do? What is your view on that?
So okay, sir. So it's like a government is like see right now the situation is like I'm saying if you lift up the lockdown also there'll be a pandemic, there'll be an increase in surge on case. But my question is like how long will you be there? There's a difference between me and other people. Like we are here, we are like having a necessary need. There are also migration laborers who are working there who are also died. At one point of time, if you keep on locking it down, people will start become like a zombies. They want food, right? What they don't have money, become a communal riot. So at this point, what you say? You will say like that people say that because of lockdown only this thing happens. So how you comment about this? Both have the other aspect. It's how the country deal with it. Take care of like look into the Russian Federation. They have 4 lakh cases, but the government is providing every need. The government is giving 10,000 rubles. The Japanese government gave $9,000. So this is the thing. And USA have made what to say? The government gave the money, and Federal Reserve have also made the helicopter money available to the people. So this is different. So since you lock down, what I mean is like the government have to meet.
All right, doctor. I get your views. All right. For Ajay, I have one question for you, Ajay. You did a pretty impressive interjection, but there's one point where you talk about the happy perspective of the lockdown, where people are enjoying during the lockdown. But don't you think that it is something for very exclusive, some special people who are blessed enough that they can enjoy in their homes? And what do you think about the problems of laborers and immigrants who have been we all are aware, right? So there are a lot of problems going on with them. So what is your view on that part?
Dr. I told happy because of that. If you see the statistics, 96% of the corona patients are asymptomatic. That's why we told okay. That's why I told the point like 96% it's asymptomatic. So why should I worry? That's why I told happy. But I still answer your question. For poor people and migrants, it's the government's responsibility still. I'm not asking for extension of lockdown indefinitely. At least till we attain the peak. We have not even come near to the peak now. At least till near the peak, the government can provide rationing to the people. Instead of opening supermarkets, where people who have money go and hoard goods. The government can provide essential goods which can be delivered to their homes, or they can, in
So
the
Ajay,
marriage function, or they can give food for this
if
right.
I ask you very point wise, just give me 3 points, okay? Just give me 3 points, saying how should I take care of the problems of laborers or the immigrant during this lockdown. Can you just give me 3 points?
Okay. First of all, they should not be hungry. So first, the government should guarantee the provision of food for them. Okay, this can be
Okay.
done using this. In Tamil Nadu, we have Amma and all of that now. Next, if they are migrant workers, they right to go to home. So that's what the government is doing now. We can use the rapid checks on them for screening them, and it's for then restraining only the positive patients alone. Then we can leave the negative patients to their home for the migrant workers, I'm saying. The third point is what I told, the essential goods, like food, rice, grains, and all. Instead of opening the supermarkets, we can
Okay, it's fine, Ajay. It's fine.
provide the only the essential.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My questions are done.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shiv Joshi. And I think we'll move on from Ajay and go to the next speaker for the motion that lockdown should be relaxed.
Yes, I'll start.
Yes.
Yes, Vanakkam, this is Jayasuriya. Thank you, IFPWD, for the opportunity. And in the next 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going to show you why lockdown should be relaxed in this country. First, I would like to start from the Oxford University, which states India has the most strictest and the stringent lockdown in the entire world compared to other countries. And I must say, I'm definitely not proud of it. And again, the thing is debatable, and we'll see why. First, people who are talking about relaxing, not relax lockdown, are people who have their meal for the next meal ready. But I'm concerned about people who don't know what to eat, or they don't have anything to eat, or all they aim for is to have one meal at least in every 2 days. That is what they need, and the chances are very less if we keep on extending this lockdown. Take for instance, I come from a city called Mahabalipuram, a tourist town which is very next to Chennai. People there, tourist guides, the shopkeepers near tourist spots, then the transport people, the auto walas, and small lodges and hotels, they're completely devastated. How do you expect them to even eat? What will be their source of income? That is what is the question. Let us, so as we've always been talking in the recent days, it's a conflict between life and livelihood. The only solution that is available in front of us is to strike a balance between them, and that balance is nothing but relaxing certain aspects of the lockdown, that is to allow certain economic activities to happen. First, this is an unprecedented situation. We cannot find a 100% solution. We need to strike a balance. We need to strike a new solution because we don't know how to act in situations like this. To be more specific, we'll see why we need to do these things. First, what I hear, I'm not an expert, there are many doctors here, but what I hear is the vaccine is very far away. We're not going to find the vaccine for this in any near time. This is what, and WHO says we need to live on with the virus. I don't know how to live with the virus, but WHO says so. Second is the unemployment rate. That is, we are pushing back people to poverty. Fortunately, surprisingly, the government helped them to come away, elevate themselves from poverty. But now, that's a more saddest statement I can make today. We are pushing them back to poverty. If you see the weight of the statement, you can understand how sad it is. Third is the gravity of the economic crisis. Ajay pointed out survival needed to save the economy. First, we need to survive to save the economy. But that's not the case. The economy needs to be in a good shape for people to survive even. If I need to eat to keep my lives. I cannot worry about an enemy which is not visible to my eyes, because I don't have food in my plate for the next meal. So he cannot be worrying about it. I'm talking from his perspective. The gravity of the economic crisis. I'll just show you certain examples. TN government says we'll not hire any newbies this year. The government is
2 more
saying
minutes left.
Thank you, madam. The government is saying we will not give any jobs this year. We are collecting ticket fares from migrants, 75 rupees. The government was not able to give. Later, after political backlash, they provided. I'll just ask you one question, and if any one of you answers this question to me, I'm just surrendering you this debate and leaving the debate. Migrant workers, landlords, agricultural laborers, daily wage laborers, unorganized sector laborers, small businesses, 7 crore shopkeepers, lower middle class families, MSMEs. How will these people eat their meals properly? How will you provide them nutrition and meal? If you just answer me this one question, that's enough for the debate. Then so many doctors here, so much respect that I would like to differ from my colleague even. TN is doing a fantastic job. Healthcare is, the death rate is very, very less. They're doing a very great job. Now, but what needs to be the solution? We cannot leave the bottom of the pyramid to starve and die. Only solution is to resume certain economic activities, but with the necessary precautions. Masks, social distancing, and proper disinfection of the places is essential. We need to stick in them, and that is the only solution that is, at least to me, is available. One line conclusion, if I want to give, I'll give: if the lockdown continues, more people will die out of poverty than that COVID-19 could take off. But I strongly believe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity. If I have any time, I would like to lend it to anybody. Do I have?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Does Dr. Joshi have, Shiv Joshi have
No,
anything to?
I'd like to hear the against first, and then I'll make a question now. Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to ask Jayasurya, probably ask your stance for it. You had mentioned about the very fact that if we relax the lockdown, people can go out and work. But you also mentioned that you come from a place which survives on tourism. So do you think if we relax the lockdown, there are certain aspects like constructions, like tourism for that matter, anything apart from food industry, do you think will they see a bloom in their economy? And do you think the people who are working in these industries, in these industrial, the lower income groups working in these industrial sites, like coolie workers in construction, in the tourist guide, like you say,
Yes.
do you think they will see a bloom in their?
Yes. So I'll answer the question. I only pointed out that certain economic activities could be allowed, but tourism, I seriously don't believe that it's possible in the next few months at least. I'll complete. Do you want anything to add?
No, I'm not mentioning anything regarding tourism. There should be always a demand for supply to happen.
Yeah, I understand the question. Certain things like tourism cannot be resumed at least for the next few months. I understand that, but allowing certain economic activities, we can safeguard one sector of the population. Next, as many economists point, we can put in money directly, not through these reforms or anything. We, as many economists and myself believe, we should put in money directly into the hands and pockets of the downtrodden and the poor. That is people, as in very tourism, and people who we cannot resume in the near future. We should put in money directly in the hands and pockets of them. And certain things, certain economic activities like certain MSMEs and certain other industries which can start their functioning should start.
Kindly ponder upon the fact that what the government can do to help these people where the demand itself is not there for them to supply anything. Yeah. So there is also groceries, there's supermarkets, there's food, there is sanitizers. Like, when did we ever use sanitizers? So why suddenly was a surge for the need of sanitizers? So there are other aspects in the economy, in the other industries, which requires demand for the supply. So kindly ponder upon that. We will discuss about this.
Yes, I have a suggestion.
Question for me. So can I add up the points to a question you asked previously?
The thing is, India is a country with 1.3 billion population. There are many industries in India. Sanitizers and masks and healthcare facilities are very not minute scale, but considerable amount only. We cannot feed the entire 1.3 billion population. Economic activities that can start happening, like as you said, it's already happening, and certain things that can be added can start. Rest, I expect the government to directly put in money into the hands of the people. At least, as certain people point, 5,000 rupees per month is essential. Tamil Nadu government, for instance, did provide them with 1,000 rupees at the start of the lockdown, not after that, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
Can I add the point for that one?
Janardhan, you will be allowed to talk in the open forum session. You, Jayasurya, both of you will be talking in the...
Okay, somebody wants to
Yes,
talk.
it's myself, Fahima.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do you have
Dr.
anything to say, Fahima?
Yeah. I have a set of questions to ask for the relaxation team as well as the against team. Yes, Ajay, who spoke against the relaxation, did give us a lot of funny incidents, I suppose. But I think people should realize that this, in a larger prospect, is much more serious than such funny incidents, Ajay. And yeah, you gave a little bit of good solutions. But what contradicts is that Jay Surya did talk for relaxations, telling we need to let people out of psychological and economical crisis. I agree. But don't you think this relaxation is a place for business technologies to just giant on the people out there? It is the business people, like, they want more money and they are risking the lives of poor people. And also we are at the risk of developing clusters. Did you notice? I'll give you just an
I
example.
completely agree with the point.
And
Kindly,
I'll just finish
kindly
up with the
ponder
point.
upon this, Jai Surya. Will be
Yes.
coming back to the
Yes.
same
Yeah.
question, open
I just
session.
want to state
Should I?
here that, one second, I'll just make my facts clear. So a pizza delivery boy has given 75 houses in Delhi, making them at a point of risk. And also the like all Swiggy deliveries, Zomato, they are showing sanitizing and all. I'm just asking this as a trigger point for the against relaxation team, as well as an answerable for the for relaxation team in the further conversations.
Thank you, Fahim. Thank you, Sir Shiv Sir, for your questions. That is going to make them ponder over the time, so that they'll be helping us give us an answer at the open session, which will follow after this. Next up is the speaker against the motion, Ms. Haribala.
Hello guys, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Hello guys, I'm here today to speak against the relaxation of lockdown. Guys, if you see the increasing number of cases of corona, definitely you won't suggest that you do want relaxation, because we have not yet developed sufficient or efficient strategies to contain COVID-19 plans. The only solution available right at the moment to contain this COVID-19 infection is the lockdown. But you guys are claiming that we want relaxation in that lockdown. How do we allow that? It is the only solution available at the moment to contain the COVID-19 infection. No ways, guys, we won't let you go likewise. Remember, India is a country with a major cases of comorbid conditions. With these conditions, if the people are exposed to coronavirus, definitely we cannot assure their lives. So the lockdown becomes an important factor in containing COVID-19 infection. Then coming to the point, really India is the one which implemented lockdown at an appropriate time so that we were able to contain the infection. For example, I'll give you a statistics. The number of corona cases have reached 1 lakh from hundreds in India only in a span of 64 days. Whereas if you consider other countries like America, it took just 23 days to reach 1 lakh cases. Whereas in case of Spain, it is about 30 days. In Germany, 35. Italy, it is 36. And for France, it is 39 days. And for Britain, it is 42 days. If you consider all these countries are well developed and they do have advanced medical facilities, but the rate of corona spread was very higher when compared to our country. Do you know why? It is because of their lethargy during the initial phase of corona spread. But in our country was able to contain this infection. Do you know why? Because we implemented a lockdown at an appropriate time. That's why we were able to contain the infection even though we were not provided with advanced medical facilities. Then we also make one point clear that we are not actually a big fans of social distancing or lockdown, anything like that. But we do love our society, we do care for our society. That's why we are imposing lockdown, because we suppose that human lives are most important than any other material resources on the earth. And you asked me about economic crisis, and I like to answer your question. You told me that it will be better if we give money to the poor and needy. There are some schemes which have been announced. First, to ensure their food, every citizen of India is getting food grains. This facility is provided through ration shops. Not only in India, in all the world countries, many provisions have been made to ensure that all the peoples during this pandemic are not facing a starvation.
2 more minutes left.
And there are Ujjwala's cylinder providing system, which ensures a free cylinders to poor people. And there is Jandan Bank account, which money to the poor people who have opened the account under that scheme. So Jantan, it gives money to the poor and needy directly to their bank account. It just keep this in point. And guys, don't find points. Don't suggest, because I have one thing. If the people are not getting any form of support, I believe that definitely some group of people would have jumped into society and have protested that we did not get that and we this, but no, you cannot witness such cases. Nobody is protesting. It is also a sign that our government is taking care of each and every people in all the levels of society, and providing a support. You cannot say that only the below poverty line people are affected. All the peoples of the society are affected in one way or the other. You cannot say only the below poverty line people. Everybody are affected in the one way or the other. Everybody, we are providing support in one form or the other. And one more thing, we can win this society. We can win this situation with the humanity. Humanity will help the poor and needy by providing food and whatever things we are needed. This is a statement given by our Indian Prime Minister. That is, we can win this situation with humanity. I believe that humanity will definitely help you win this. Even though we are losing our economy, definitely we'll get time to rebuild our economy. We can suit it and we can fire up better. Even Japan is facing the same condition. South Korea, everything, Russia, all the countries are in the same condition, and everybody have formulated provisions to take care of their below poverty line. So you cannot blame any country. And one more thing, what are the subsequent problems are arising are not because of the lockdown itself, it is because of the COVID-19 infection. These problems are not only the result of lockdown, so you cannot blame lockdown alone. We have implemented lockdown just to contain COVID-19 infection. We have not
The time's up.
Everything. Okay, I'll conclude with one point with a historical event. Julius Caesar went to State House without listening to the words and ended up saying, "You do, Brutus." And I asked people to stay in home and don't roam and don't end up saying, I too got corona. That's the time to stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, excellent point, Haribala. Excellent perspective, actually. So, apart from that, you had mentioned about the fact that France.
You're not clear, ma'am. Your voice is not clear.
Can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what you had mentioned for certain points about how France couldn't handle, how Italy couldn't handle, and then we are able to handle. Do you also realize India got the infection a lot later than any of these countries? Italy and France got it. So they were quite prepared with what they saw. Like by the time India was affected or seemed to start getting affected, because people are already getting affected in India. And because there was no diagnostic test, we were not getting it in numbers. Okay, so before it could even happen, it had already reached Italy like this. Okay, do you also realize Italy had been like a live example for all the other countries who had not been affected to be careful that you're not far off. So people have started by then our governments had already started working on it, and that's how our lockdown had been relaxed. So that is a point I would like you to ponder and remember before you make a point. Secondly, after that, talking about what our government has done for the thing, do you think for any other reasons, for good reason or for the bad reason, that all the person who has been affected by it or who has been awarded the schemes by the government are able to have a reach over it? I don't think I have heard of this scheme called Jantal Bank. Okay,
no, that is only for women who have lost their livelihood.
Yeah, what if I have lost their livelihood? How does
you have to open your bank account under Jantan scheme?
If I have not heard about Jantal Bank account, how are the people who do not have access to, how are the migrants?
That's the problem, major problem with the society, ma'am. We have implemented all the schemes to ensure that our people are living a happy life, but we do not have a proper awareness programs. We have not created proper awareness. The lack of awareness makes the situation difficult for every people. If we ensure that every people are given proper awareness, definitely we can solve this. There is
Okay, the main thing why we are not having awareness is the media is covering a short amount or a small amount of news which they are able to do. And how do people gather awareness from knowing what is happening around the world? How do people know about the world from
instead of sharing unwanted issues, we can share something useful to the below poverty line people. Medias are always focusing on sensational issues. They are
we sharing the right? I'm trying not to debate with you, but are we sharing the right information? This is a thought for you to ponder. This is for the open forum, so that Dr. Shiv Joshi and all of us will talk about this rather, because this is also a point which has been going around in all of us who are being here, the viewers, everybody. So I'm just giving a rhetorical question for us to answer later on. Are we aware of what is happening to the government? What are the schemes happening? Are the schemes reaching all the people who are in need of it? Are the schemes reaching us? Are these schemes being used by the citizens? Because even till now, I see
Ma'am,
people...
I can give you a live example now, if you permit. Even I have a bank account open under Janta scheme. I'm uncredited ₹500 every month.
Yeah, so thanks for getting us.
That's why I know this.
All of us are going to open up a Janta scheme bank account soon after this.
No, but I don't believe that will be available to everyone now. But unfortunately, the bank people have opened a bank account for me.
There's discrimination that's only for women.
That's for women. Because we are
I think I can help it, and I think all the other schemes I can also get access to it because I know a lot of politicians. So I think I can get through that. That's how it works, right? Anyways, let's not go into politics. I mean, that will take a lot of more time to debate upon. So let's just keep our minds open. Let's see what we can do to the lower economic people who still come and walk into my clinics and say that I have been depressed all over my life. I'm not able to sleep. I don't have money to even eat. I don't have money to feed my poor baby. They come and ask me in the clinic, can I have some money to feed my poor baby? Can you at least give me, can you buy and give me milk so that I can feed my baby? And this is what is happening at this part of the world. And imagine the entire part of the world, how many people are affected. And we're not talking about the entire part, we're not talking about the government, but does lockdown, putting us all in lockdown, despite the fact that like a lot of other people are dying despite in other illness because they don't have money in hand for them to get because only private institutions are working in emergency, not much like because the government institutions are turning away people if they think it is not an emergency. So that's a thought to ponder. It's a thought to ponder, of course. So let's see what our 4 team has to rebut and also close the entire debate from the 4th session. Over to the 4 team.
Before that, I have a question for Jai Surya as well as Haribala. Is that fine? Can I take
it?
Yes, of course.
All right. So, okay. First to Jai Surya, I think you have raised very nice points when it comes to discussion for relaxation of lockdown. I really was thinking about your question when you said that how these vulnerable, poor people belonging to different sections will be getting their meals, and how can you have money directly in their pockets, right? So when you think of that, I was also thinking that you yourself in your discussion mentioned about a lot of MSMEs which can be strengthened, right? So I was thinking that why should we relax the lockdown, but instead can't we focus more on taking this as an opportunity to evolve our own medium scales, this MSMEs, right? And when we have all these MNCs who are right now crippled or dysfunctional because they are unable to work due to different reasons, as we are all aware of. Won't that be a good solution to feed the people and put money directly into their pockets? If we can use this opportunity of strengthening the MSMEs through government initiatives and actually making them self-sufficient, all these poor people, so that they can earn their own meals. What do you have to say regarding
Yes, sir. So this is actually a very much economic question. The thing is, just like how MNCs are crippled, our MSMEs are also crippled. The point is, the government has announced a series of package, not 20 lakh crores, it's much lesser, but those things are not at all sufficient because MSMEs are very much crippled. They need definitely money to start off their manufacturing phase, to reach the manufacturing phase. They're not able to provide salary to their employees. They're not able to do anything. We have 7 crore MSM, 6 crore MSMEs is what I think. So the government has not even covered. The government has only covered 45 lakh MSMEs under its schemes. Rest of 5.6 crores MSMEs
So,
don't even know
Jaisurya,
what to
I
do.
mean, I
But
mean to
it's
say that government is anyway spending, right, for the
it's an
schemes.
emergency credit line, Shiv. Actually, 3 lakhs for like it's an emergency credit line of ensured by the government. It's in
Yeah,
for
so
like,
that is only for 45 lakh MSMEs. There are
yeah.
so total of 6 to 7 crore MSMEs in India, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, but
All right. So, Jaisurya, I wanted to say that because government is already investing into the schemes, so there were a lot of other schemes as Haribala also talked about. So, government is already spending a lot of money, right? Don't you think
No,
that?
but sir, okay, sir, please continue.
Yeah, it's fine. You can answer.
Yeah, so for example, just like what Haribala told, the government is giving rice and the government is giving cylinder, but don't they need money to get dal, or don't they need money to get oil to cook? They cannot eat rice. Veru rice, they cannot be eating it. So the
Okay, I
problem is
get your
more
point.
intense.
That basically we are compromising on the autonomy of those people. Okay, so that actually brings me to the question I had for Haribala. Haribala, you said that first of all, I actually wanted to rethink when you say that the only solution is lockdown for this problem. So ideally, you should not be using such sentences. It cannot be the only solution. All right, you might want to rethink that. I do agree with you with your point that India was very timely in implementing the lockdown. But what is your perspective, and in what way it has helped us, Haribala? In what way India's implementation of lockdown, of being a very timely lockdown, has helped us? Can you shed some light on that?
Yes, sir. Compared to other developed countries, we don't have advanced medical facilities compared to them. So if we have not implemented lockdown at the appropriate time, then the number of cases what we do have now might have been doubled or tripled. Only a timely implementation of lockdown have contained the coronavirus cases, sir. And one more thing, during this time, the people started roaming without awareness. That's why even we have reached this number of corona cases. So I suppose that lockdown have maintained the number of cases, but uncooperative people, due to them, the cases number.
Okay, so basically, from what I understand, Haribala, you mean to say that because of that timely lockdown, we've got some time to prepare our own country in order to provide services, right? But when it comes to, like you were speaking against relaxation of lockdown, right?
Yeah.
So what is wrong in relaxing the lockdown now? I mean, we've already got quite a lot of time to prepare our country when it comes to other countries like Italy and US, and so we've got some significant lead time. Now we are having better facilities. Definitely it will be scarce. We cannot have up to the mark level of healthcare services, as one of the participants raised regarding the health expenditures, right? So that is always a problem. But then how we can say that it should not be relaxed now? Does
I have two points to answer your question, sir. First, if we relax lockdown now, the person who is going to work may get an infection because we have not completely eradicated coronavirus. So if a person get an infection, he or she have to rest in a home. So during that, even for a period of time, so even when we are relaxing the lockdown, the person may or may not have a chance to go to work. Rather, he or she must rest in the bed. So first thing. Second thing, not many people are willing to come out of their home because the virus has not been eradicated. They think that if they come out, they will get an infection. So even you avail services or you make products, then you have to produce to the market. You won't get consumers to avail those services or products.
All right, Haribala. With that, actually, I'd like to just make a comment on the schemes that you listed. Okay, so there were a lot of schemes that you listed, and these were for basically the poor or the marginalized section of the society, which is a good thing. I feel that at least the government is trying to take a note of them, that such a section also exists within our country. and it is trying to do something for that section. But whenever I look at these programs, there is this sort of discrepancy that I find in terms of the eligibility of those people. So who will be eligible to claim those benefits? If they are eligible, will those facilities be accessible to them? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
If they are
and
eligible, they will be accessible.
yeah, just a second. And would that be accessible to them? And even if it is accessible to them, is the amount that is being provided, or the commodity that has been provided, is it enough? And who decides that? That commodity, that particular commodity, or that particular money that is being provided to these people will suffice their needs? So I think there's a lot of issue there. What are your views on that?
Sir, actually, we cannot say that a particular group of people have benefited from lockdown and some group have been denied of everything and they are suffering. No, everybody in the society are affected. No group of people are benefited, but everybody are affected in the lockdown. So the government has to take care of all the peoples in all levels of society. So when we are coming to taking care of all of them, according to the availability of the needs, they have segregated the amounts. So with that, they are helping the needy people as well as the people in the high level society. If you even decide that the person with aeroplane can be considered as rich, but due to temporary burn on airlines, they do are running bankrupt. So you can say that this people need that much, this people need that much. It depends on the situation. You cannot say that poor people need much and the higher one need low. So with
All
the
right.
availability
All
of
right,
the...
very well. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you may proceed. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Moafika,
Yes, I'm Fahima, sir. Yes, yes, Haribala, the scheme that you said.
Fahima,
Yeah.
1 more minute. I want to ask one question to Haribala.
Yes. Yeah.
Haribala, you mentioned that, so your points are good, but you said like why until the virus get eradicated. Do you think like virus get eradicated from a nation?
No, sir. Until then, we can eradicate it in the sense.
My simple question: how long could be the lockdown to be there? Like when we want to relax, you wanted to lockdown for like. I'm agree to all your points. Okay, for economic crisis, everything like life is humanity is very important. Okay, fine. Until when? When we want like lift off the lockdown, you want to be relaxed.
Sorry for this answer. If I want to answer this question correctly, I have to answer you only the lockdown gets over, because only then I can give you a correct answer. Before that,
so do you think now it's already that lockdown 4.0, there are so many relaxation is there, like so many restrictions and something. So almost 50% of industries started working and they are like so many reforms have come up. So the perfect, like what you are talking of starting from curfew. So is it now is lockdown is there for India? Like is it like 100% lockdown? What you are talking is there, or already it's relaxed?
For some group of people it is relaxed, sir, but I do believe in one point. With the relaxation for a particular group of people, you cannot resolve this economic crisis. I have a belief in that thought. Only if we all join hands together and do something to improve our economy, only then we can resolve this condition. Rather, giving a relaxation to a group of people does not improve the condition to the extent we
how the country can improve their economy with the lockdown. So there are many economists are working like so because they are shut down all the industries and everything is export, import, everything is off. So how can you come up with this like economic burden? So any other points like related to that?
Okay, sir, I can answer you with this point.
So so far you are saying like no one has come up with like kind of medicines or vaccines or no, because you know what? So until the vaccines or medicine, so so far like three or four members have finished their speech. So no one has mentioned about anything like related to vaccines and medicines. So do you think how long the vaccines? We don't know. It may take like 1 year or maybe like 6 months or anyway. Until that, you can maintain this lockdown, or you have to relax.
I don't suppose relaxation, sir, because
Okay.
even without vaccine, we can contain the situation, sir, by treating the infected patients and preventing further spread. So with that, we can contain the situation instead of waiting for a vaccine to be developed.
Okay, cool. So okay, Fahima, you can go.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Haribal. Hello.
Do you have anything to ask
Yes.
the speaker so they can ponder upon and keep it for the open discussion to happen later on?
Let me proceed, Dr. Tash.
Yeah, you can proceed. Just ask
Yes.
them the question.
Haribala, you have given the people on the live of IFPWD a good amount of idea about this scheme. I am sure that people will be using it through you, so know that. And I'd say against the relaxation you're talking. So if there is no relaxation, how do you think you can explain the death of so many migrant workers who have out of tiredness slept on the tracks and have given up their lives? People are still risking their lives, doctors, nurses, everyone, but still there is a part of workers who are dying out of poverty. You did mention that people are not coming out road on poverty, but you should know that I have personally seen people asking for jobs even during COVID, because it's the time for the livelihood. And for women, it comes domestic violence have actually cased up against 21% during this lockdown, which
Ma'am,
is
I
a
can
serious
answer
issue that we should throw some light.
First, you spoke about migrant workers. Actually, they came out of their house because of an rumors. In first, this started in Mumbai. They have created a false start to the people, and they came out that the government has made them so they can go to their native place. It was actually a rumor because of which they came out. So they thought they will get all the support from the government. It was the rumor, so they thought they will be supported, but there was no such thing existed. So that's why they have wandered in the roads and they faced difficulties and they were not getting food, all these. So it was a rumor, that's why they did not get support. Second thing, you spoke about women violence. Ma'am, women are facing violence not only in the lockdown, but even before these lockdowns, women were facing violences. So we cannot say that women are facing violence, particularly in this period of lockdown. Every time they are facing violence. If we are against that, now we can make awareness among them that you should not be violent towards, you should not harass us, like that we can make. But you cannot say that due to lockdown we are facing. It's really contraindication.
No, I've just stated it's just cases up 21% is a good number of percentage that I want to state here. I've just told it has increased by 21% because of lockdown. Okay, we'll be given chance at the end to explain your statements. Yes.
Thank you so much, Faima. That was such a pondering question to ask. It's gonna like literally instigate the FOR team in their questions, in their speech. Okay, so next up will be our last speaker against the team. I just saw Haribala heave a sign of relief. Papada mudinjathu andha mari. So yeah, I told you right in the starting, everybody's watching you, Haribala. So apart from that, we'll just be moving on to the final speaker. One minute. You are the second speaker, right? Like all the we'll be moving on to the final speaker of the session, Dr. Prashant.
So good evening, folks. This is Prashant from Madras Medical College. And this house firmly believes that the lockdown should be relaxed. So for my worthy opponents out there, let me make a few points clear. So here, the topic revolves around if the lockdown should be relaxed, not released. For there is a difference between relaxation versus releasing. Relaxation happens in a phased manner. It's a well thought out process with all the technicalities meted out at the right moment. While relaxation is this, releasing is in that way. It happens suddenly. Well, you have an announcement that tomorrow the lockdown is off, and that is how releasing happens. And all of us do agree that releasing is going to be disastrous, but not relaxing. That is the first point that I would starkly want to make here. The second thing, we also need to look out on the ethical, the scientific and mental issues that are involved in this. Once the lockdown has been initiated, as it has been progressing, if you had asked me this question, if you need a relaxation on day one versus on today, I would have had a very different stand. For it is on the current scenario that we're debating if the lockdown needs to be further extended, with the emphasis on further. For the lockdown, if need be, definitely needs extension if it were a day one situation. On day one, all of us agreed that lockdown was the only scenario, but maybe not today. That is basically the point that I would like to say here. And also, there is this ethical issue of curtailing individual freedom and privacy. Right to liberty is a fundamental right, and it can be curtailed under special situations. but not for too long as well. There hasn't been an emergency that has been declared, for that is the only situation when it can be prolonged endlessly with no limits unless and until the court comes along to, provide you relief. With respect to the mental issues involved, we at the Indian Medical Association have also, started a helpline to address the issues of mental health that our fellow citizens have been facing. There have been a number of attempts of suicide. Maybe some have even succeeded in that, very sadly. How do you explain all this? Many of which are due to the lockdown. Not just this, the scientific basis of the lockdown. Undoubtedly, everyone agrees that the lockdown needs an extension on day one due to the same scientific reasons that we've explained. But then, as on date, if you see, what you need is just cycles of lockdown and not a continuous extension of the same. So that is basically where it differs. And there are, again, a multitude of studies that my friends have all quoted to the same. With respect to, again, the scientific basis, I would also like to initiate this point that the government has been very clear to relax lockdown only in specific situations and in specific areas by dividing the zones as red, orange, green, or containment zones. And with respect to, again, providing relaxation in these areas, everything has been notified using the ROK Setu app.
2 minutes
If you had to go on for social distancing, which again is the ethos of this lockdown, everyone knows that there cannot be a spread of the disease. And again, let me also give a rebuttal to one of the points that my opposition speakers had made. They had also, raised a point of the cluster of cases that have been detected from day one as on date. But then that has to be accounted to the enhanced diagnostic testing that has been undertaken, which my friends have failed to understand. And the use of drones that my friend had actually quoted upon goes against him. For that only means that people are getting all the more restless to break the lockdown and come out. The delivery of goods into households. Everyone as of now knows that you cannot reach out to every single person, and there are a huge number of people who are sitting down on the streets without shelter, without an Aadhaar card, without a PAN card or anything else, which you would, or even a ration card for that concern, for you to access to the resources. And the only way would be a living, which gives them the 50 rupees or 100 rupees a day for their sustenance. And also on this point on herd immunity, once all these measures get on to fail, the only point that is left out with us is to live with the virus, and that can be achieved only with a herd immunity that is acquired. And a herd immunity doesn't acquire on day one just with inside our homes. So that is another point. And again, as my friend made the point on domestic abuse, we also saw the case of Dr. Garima. Such are the cases that, have been happening both in hospitals and outside hospitals. And, there is a difference again between lockdown and quarantine. Lockdown is a mode of primary prevention, while quarantine is a mode of secondary prevention. And once you do a quarantine of the cases and the contact tracing effectively, I would emphasize on the word effectively, you wouldn't need a lockdown then. Just continue over with the social distancing using a mask and a gloves, and that would do the needful. So that is what the scientific basis and the ethos depends upon. Also, as a going by a case-to-case basis, we've been looking out to each and every single case. Contact tracing has been taken up to the best levels with a door-to-door survey, and I don't think we need anything more than this. Lastly, I would just make one point known before I finish. It's not just humans that are being affected here. To quote an incident, the monkeys in the Palani Adivaram temple have all been perishing from day to day because the tourists over there have not been feeding them with the bananas and other food items that they've been giving all these days. So it's not just us humans, but the fellow animals and the surrounding environment that's getting affected too. With a fruit of thought on this, let me just conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you. That was like a very eye-opening made by you about the phase-wise opening of the government, about the way the government has definitely put in place the orange, red, and green zone. That's what we make, and the relaxation, the phase-wise relaxation taken care by the government. You have also mentioned about at the last about the perishing monklings because we are not able to feed them. Have you all just a thought to ponder? We also have certain rivers clearing up and a certain amount of animals returning to their habitats. I have never seen a sparrow all throughout my life. I've been seeing it outside if I just look out of it. So that is also one thing which has been a benefit because of the lockdown. We are at home and the animals get to go back to their home. So that is how it's been. Just a thought to ponder. Apart from that, we'll also ask Dr. Shiv Joshi whether he has any questions to ask.
Yeah, Moafika, I'd like to hear the speaker against, and then I'll put my questions.
Definitely, thank you.
Taj, I want to ask
Yeah,
some
Dr.
question to
Arun.
Prashant.
Yeah, definitely.
Prashant, is it?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Prashant, actually, you spoke about like more or less like kind of mitigation and suppression. So this is what you are talking so far, like in your speech. I want to ask one question. Like this virus, coronavirus, is a novel virus. So far, like we don't have any like any much knowledge about this. Many studies are coming up, and we don't know even any evidence like scientific evidence over the herd immunity and all. So relaxation without any knowing anything about this herd immunity, without any scientific scientific knowledge, is it beneficial? Is not going to be any drastic effect on the people's life? Because without any knowledge in herd immunity, we can relax the lockdown. Is it okay? Because in UK and US we know like many studies have told like lockdown will be a like life saving, like it's the only viable strategy. Because so far many countries, even all the countries are benefit like this is because without vaccines, drugs, we only have one strategy is like NPI, that is a non-pharmaceutical interventions, like kind of this lockdown and closure of public places and everything. So how could we relax without knowing this herd immunity? Is there any other way? Do you think like any other suggestions or strategies is there to relax?
Thank you for the question, sir. So, just to clarify that the coronavirus, it has been a mutation again from the coronavirus. So,
Okay.
going on to the question on how, without a vaccine or without effective medication, as far
Okay.
as we've seen until date, research and literature hasn't given much on, this. Agreed, sir. I have no contention on that. But then it's only a trial and error approach. Days back we had hydroxychloroquine, as being the utopian drug, which, can cure the virus in a jiffy. But then again, the same research says that hydroxychloroquine can do more harm than good. And that is something similar which quotes with vaccines and herd immunity as well. It's a tested approach that plasma therapy, herd immunity, and vaccines have been effective for a multitude of diseases. And one such, is coronavirus. Because if you had, gone to the inception of a particular disease, if you had never tried all this out, you would have never known that this would even work. So unless and until you try it out with the coronavirus, there is no way you can actually go on to find out if it would have a remedy or not. So this is one way of, eliciting the immune response, because this is something concerned with the immune system.
Okay. So you want to like take a trial and error on humans' life?
It's not exactly about humans' lives, sir, because it's a stepwise approach. It's in a phased manner. You're giving all the precautions possible. You're curtailing it to the maximum levels possible. You're giving them gloves. You're giving them sanitizers. You're preaching them. You're undertaking all the four modalities
Do
of
you think
prevention.
like people can change their behavior on sudden, like by using of okay, I understood like now the sanitations, like for face mask, everything. Do you think the government is correctly introducing all this kind of precautions, and the people also adhering to all the precautions so far? Like, do you think it will on place already? For last 6 months they are trying, so all the steps. Do you think like people will adhering to this, like living along with this corona?
Sir, if we get on to the specific issues concerned, people have been receptive in our country by and large, because we haven't seen massive protests running on streets, just as how the United States has countered. United States of America has had a greater infrastructure with respect to health, and they've been spending a lot over it, and yet they've been facing, worse circumstances than us. And there have been daily protests on streets out there asking the lockdown to be relaxed on day one. With that being a comparison, we have stood out at a better situation, at better poles apart, being on contrast as a model nation, which is adhered to the lockdown by and large. And by, going by statistics and going by facts, every single country, including something which is as small as Singapore, has gone on to a quarantine situation sometime or the other, and effectively put it out on a phased manner. The emphasis here lies on being phased and not being sudden, as I pointed out, firstly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, question.
Yes.
Thank you,
Prashant?
Prashant.
Yes. Prashant?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
Fahim.
you have said that US have a greater infrastructure and they've been holding it. But do you realize that you are talking for the relaxation which the US had followed long back before putting their lockdown and putting their lives at risk, increasing, surpassing China in the numbers? Do you think you are speaking for the relaxation which that US had followed? India is far better at this point right now. Don't you think? And also, herd immunity that you had stated may end up to be extremely fatal if you think. And I think I'll propose you that herd immunity, instead of that, we can focus more on herd protection. See, adapting behavior is better than putting our risks of our lives at risk. Don't you think so?
So, okay, thank you for the question again. And let me just clarify. So, I made a point basically, where I stated as to the current scenario of relaxation and the premature status of relaxing. What the United States had undergone was a premature relaxation. They had not initiated the lockdown on day one when they had firstly detected a case, whereas we have been instrumental in doing it from day one. As soon as a case was being detected, we have been screening them throughout on the airports. We've taken every measure possible from day one. While that didn't happen with the United States, in spite of the infrastructure, which only portrays a bad government policy, which I shall not get into. It's a government, policy that has caused the havoc with respect to the United States. And if you had asked me this question days before, I said again that I would probably have gone against the motion. For it is only today that I am here to support the motion and speak. And on the second question, on herd immunity and herd protection, as I said before, herd immunity and herd protection have all been, a part and parcel of various, life-threatening diseases. Even we say polio for that concern. All this has been, evolving over a period of time, and this has been, instrumental in, putting the disease to a minimum level possible, and at the maximum, even curtail it to a minimum zero. So all this has been possible only on a gradual manner, and nothing happens in a day. You cannot, change stones in a day's time. That is exactly what my point has been from the start. So that's what I believe upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you. That was a very, very inculcative point you had put us forward with. That is going to definitely ask our opposition to make a proper debate and also be the final speaker against the motion. Should lockdown be relaxed or not? Miss Kritika will on to you, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay. Finally, made it aayega. I'm just trying to break the ice here because everyone turned into Arnab Goswami for the past hour. So let's take it a bit slow now. A small virus that just originated from Wuhan province has dwindled our entire planet into a global pandemic. And do you still ask me why do we need or go against relaxation? Really, people, even before health experts could be aware of the extent or the intensity of this virus, it had already spread like wildfire. If India had only lockdown without any relaxation, if India had a lockdown with a lot of relaxation, telling people can go here and there, then we would have had 1.2 lakh cases at the mere end of April 15th. But no, we are not at that stage right now. A detailed study by Cambridge University has stated that a country needs 49-day lockdown period without any relaxation to combat a virus of this virulence. We know the stories of many superpowers like the USA. Yes, what happened to them? They are at the verge of breaking down bad because they've had a lockdown with relaxation, which has led them to cause the life of millions of innocent people. Now let's talk about a success story. Taiwan, the neighboring country of China. They had implemented a lockdown with zero relaxation. Now it screams success from corner to corner of the planet. For a country which is tremendously populous like India, we never know who's the vector. We never know where the virus is. We have been divided into zones. Yes, we need zone-wise testing booths. And now in the state where I am, they've announced door-to-door testing. At least for that, we need an extension of lockdown without any relaxation. Even if a zone becomes virus-free, we need at least 14 to 21 day period to check if there is any resurge of this virus at that area. A very good example for this is the Spanish flu, one of the deadliest pandemics that happened in the history of our world. It happened in 1918. During the first wave, 10 million people died. Then the people demanded, they wanted relaxation, they wanted to go out, work, earn money. Then what happened? And it was at the end of the wartime too. The second phase was the deadliest. 50 to 100 million died. And the people who researched it, especially Professor H.R., he told that relaxation of the lockdown, opening places, socializing of people, letting down industries to work had caused this havoc. Do we need another Spanish flu in our country? I don't think so. Yes, I agree. Economy is important. Economy is everything. But we have been through worse. From the times British looted our country to demonetization. We have faced it everything. We did that. We went through everything for the sake of our country. Why can't we go through for the face of the lives of millions of people? My opponent gave me a wonderful point telling that animals are free. Yes, animals are free because we humans are not there. Our air quality is improved. It's like we are telling to the earth, Ja Simran Ja, ji le apni zindagi. Yes, they are free because humans are not there. That's the main point. We never know who has the virus now. And if the lockdown has been relaxed just now, will you go out and stand? No, you'll have that fear. You don't know which place is sanitized or cleansed. We need to make sure of that. That's the point. And a lot of our stress levels have also been decreased. It's all due to this relaxation and have become close to people, our dear ones also. I just want to end my topic by telling that if you think economy is important, then try holding and counting your money by holding your breath for 10 seconds. This is not what I told. It was told by Professor McGuiferson. That's the truth. When America had 1 lakh cases, only 2,000 people died. Now we are at the verge of 3,000 people dying. Do you still think we don't need relaxation? Our heroes without capes, the doctors, police officers, health workers need time to relax. If you relax the rules of lockdown, people are going to come out. More relaxation, more people to come out, and more cases to surge. We are skyrocketing. Understand that. We don't need relaxation now. We need humans, the pure source of life. Let's get that. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And do I have any more time?
Yeah, Anu?
You do have 30 seconds left.
We are the people who make up economy. Economy is something which can be reconstructed. Tata, he only told that. It can be done at any point. But what about humans? We are the pride. We are the soul of this country. We contribute to GDP. Don't talk about economy when human lives are at risk. This is time to use your mind. Think about your money.
Your time's up.
Thank you, Kritika. That was on point, like the time and the facts you have blended us with. Dr. Shiv Joshi, would you like to address the previous speaker and the speaker?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Muafika. My questions for Prashant first. And I would say that, Prashant, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So first of all, I should compliment you for being very much to the point. That was really nice, and you sort of understood the prospects and the future scope of where we are heading for the disease. So you had this point in your motion that day one we agreed for the lockdown, but not today. Okay. So when you say this, I am a bit concerned because as I come from the field of community medicine, and we are basically looking to lots of projection related data on daily basis, and what we see for our country is that by around 31st of July we are expected to see the peak for our country. And if we are going to relax the lockdown now, I mean, can I actually say that at day one we agreed for it, maybe in middle we would have agreed for the relaxation, but if we are looking for a relaxation right now, it might backfire on us, and it might add on the already the burden that is already there. It might just add on that. What do you have to say about it?
Sir, again, on this, I would like to quote one another study by the European Society, and this included the scenario of India with Indian scientists into it as well. So where they emphasized, on the point that the lockdown should not be extended indefinitely, and also that there needs to be a cycle of lockdown. So there, comes the emphasis. When you have cycles of lockdown with minimal intervals, you get to see that there is a, sharp strike, downfall of the cases on one hand. There is also betterment of the society on the other hand. And then, you continue the lockdown. No one is going to object to it. It is only about the extension of the lockdown that people are skeptical about, and not about cycles of lockdown, which people, need to understand that it is the essence that can, save us from the pandemic.
All right. I think, Prashant, that was good. There's one more thing I would like to build upon what Muwafika was talking about to you. She was communicating about the surrounding environment. Okay, and I pretty much agree that the air and water around us has been, under recovery, I would say, and also that even the noise pollution that we see around usually has decreased to a very great extent when it comes to this period of lockdown. So there were recently circulating lots of media articles about, from Amritsar you could see the mountains, and but I don't know how much of that was there, but then I really feel when I go on my terrace in the night, I am really able to see better, I'm able to feel cleaner air. I'm better to, appreciate the scene or the nature around me. So what do you comment on that part? I mean, you specifically mentioned about the surrounding environment. That's why I was saying.
Yeah, sir. So with respect to the surrounding environment, it's both animals, the non-living objects such as the water sources, everything counts. I do agree on that. And on one hand, you do have serenity building up, but on the other hand, there are some animals which are perishing. So it has both a pro and a con on one side. It's a balanced situation rather. On one hand, you have something that's going up, and the other hand, you have something that's going down. So certain aspects have its own disadvantage, and rather, I would say that we need to build up a sense of duty consciousness towards protecting the environment rather, irrespective of the lockdown on that count.
Okay. For Kritika, I was wondering, you actually mentioned in your discussion, in your motion, that stress levels are decreased during this lockdown period. But I really doubt that, because with increase in this information technology around us, I mean, look at the size of information that we get bombarded with on daily basis. And if I'm sure you might be aware that IMANS very recently took out, gave out a guideline specifying that you should not watch or discuss COVID-related information or news for over an hour a day. So what do you think about that when we talk about the increased level of stress? Because I particularly perceive that there is increased level of stress because of the lockdown. I mean, people are like, at least we are in healthcare profession, we are people of science, we understand things. But what about the layman who is constantly amidst this, this myriad of lots of information that is floating around them, and they don't know what is right and what is wrong? I personally have a feeling that it is adding to their mental stress, and it is adding to their stress levels. What do you say about that? Kritika.
I think some network glitch.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sir, am I audible? I'm not able to hear you.
You are audible. You are audible. I can hear you.
Sir, I'm not able to hear you, sir.
I think it's
Muwafika, can you just check what's wrong?
Yeah, also.
Yeah, sure. Of course. I'm just checking on that.
Yeah.
Can you do it now, Kritika?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Kritika?
Kritika is not here. I think some network issues.
Okay, we'll have the 2 minutes for the closing statement to be made. By that time, we'll try to sort out this glitch.
Yes, Taj?
Are you able to hear us? Like, is it
Yes.
Fabia?
Yeah, I'm Fahima. Is Kritika not available?
She's
No,
not
she's not.
available.
Okay,
She's not.
Someone please
Okay,
call
we'll
her.
work on that.
Okay.
And by that time, we expect the closing statements for both the 2 for and 2 team to be made while we work on this technical glitch. And this will be also a break for the other participants and sirs and guests who are here.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll have the questions posted to Kritika as well. And then we'll start
that's
with
all
the pitch. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And Taj, are you there?
I am there. I'm there.
Okay. Shall we have that polling for our attendees also? So we can ask for
Yeah,
opinion.
sure, of course. Let's keep our attendees involved who have been giving us chats.
We can have they can vote for.
So for the attendees, how have you, Kritika, are you back?
Kritika have some network issues, I know.
Yeah, Kritika seems to have her network issues. Let her work on that while we do the polling for the attendees. Yes.
Yeah.
So for the attendees, we would like to ask you, how have you felt this flow of debaters? And if there is any other questions you would like to put forward to the guests as well as to the participants, please put it up in the chat. And we also expect you to answer this poll, which has been posted by our host. It will pop in front of your page. So Kritika, are you able to hear me? Okay, we'll move on with our closing statements for the against team.
Yeah, can I start?
Yes, Dr. Jay Nandakishore will be closing the debate for the against motion. On to you, Dr. Jay.
Yeah, okay. So as I've said in my earlier statement, the need of the lockdown is imminent. I need to clear a few points. Dr. Prashant said about herd immunity. The recent projections state that the recent reproduction number, which has been raised from 3.3 to 5.7, the studies state that 82% of the people need to be infected for the herd immunity to work. With the absence of vaccine, would you really condemn 82?
Just hold on, Ajay.
Hello, ma'am.
Kritika, are you here? Just 1 minute. You had asked a question by Dr. Shiv.
I extremely apologize to all the people on the air and people who are talking to me and respected dignitaries. My internet just went off suddenly.
It's okay.
I'm really sorry for the inconvenience.
Consequence. It's an understandable consequence. We'll just keep Dr. Ajay on hold for the closing statement, and we'll hear your answer to Dr. Shiv.
Yeah. Okay. Can I go on with my answer, sir?
Yeah.
Could you understand the question?
Yes, sir. I completely did.
Right.
And my bad, it just flew away.
Okay.
Yeah. The stress level I was talking to were people who have been pressurized, achieve this target, that target, when they were really on the go. They had to do things and people are getting do this and assignments, tests. Even me being in a medical field, I was so pressurized. Oh my God, I'm going to have my abdomen test. I have to read biochem. And, these are small things, yes. But to a certain degree, I was telling, I'm not telling completely everyone's stress just flew away. There are different kinds of stress. But I'm telling for a certain sector of people, they did feel a bit relief when they were with their close ones. Because this lockdown brought our dear ones connected to us in ways we didn't even imagine. Now we are talking to people, we are opening up, we are more vulnerable of our insecurities. We are telling to them. Before, we didn't even have the opportunity to sit and talk to our dear ones. We didn't know even what our parents were doing in the next room beside us. But now it's not the case. We do see everywhere, people are going out. We are talking. We know, okay, this had been happening in my home. That kind of an
All right, Kritika.
intimacy
That's
between
fine.
relations.
That's fine. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kritika.
Is Kritika? Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Kritika, I have a small query for you.
Sure, ma'am.
The economy can be reconstructed as what you stated, but I want to know if the people who are working for the economy are mentally and physically traumatized, then how do you expect the economy to be reconstructed? I think economy is a part of it, but the human, physical and mentally and physically is the backbone of everything, I suppose. And work from home has actually increased double the work. I hear people working double their time. And also, while relaxing, if you're going to go against relaxation, then initially, did you notice the increase in panic among people who just coughed or people who just had a cold drink would end up telling, I'm getting corona because I'm getting frequent sputum. So the panic level has actually raised. I see people with no actual problem, they mentally assume that they might have assumed corona. So I think you have to explain further on that note.
Yes, ma'am. I would love to even answer that right now. In my speech, I just included one line, if you had noticed, telling that we have to spread awareness to people. This comes under awareness. And there have been campaigns going on in all media platforms, be it TikTok or Instagram, telling that to stop, produce, or tell out false news to people. And as sir also mentioned, now the government is telling stop spreading false news, because always there's going to be a sector of people who want to just purge into the situation. Yes, I do agree, but we are taking steps even to combat that. Everything has a problem, whatever spectrum we view, and this is one of the problems. And when you told people are getting physically, emotionally, while they are getting damaged, yes, I do agree. But when we are in a surrounding which is close to us, like a home, we end up being more productive actually. That's the truth, and it has been revealed even by research. When people work from home, even though when they multiply the work, they do it to a certain extent happily, because it's their own surroundings. It helps them to calm their mind also even more. And economy can be reconstructed is a very positive note, because now we're just not simply just sitting or just wanting, oh, we don't need, just stop it. No, we do need to have relaxation for our health first, for our physically. We need people. I think we would be happy to see people after the lockdown, once it gets over in future, they can talk to others, consult to doctors, etc. But if people die, who is going to be responsible? I don't think it will be even good for us to sit and talk with corpses lying around. And that's what this virus is going to do. And I think universe has thrown a big Uno reverse card at us. Now we are inside home. People are like, animals are free. They're happy. And to certain extent, we have understood the value of each and every bond with us. I think that is making us emotionally stronger now.
Thank you for the well-made point. We'll just move on with the closing statement and further discuss about the various questions which has been put forward by the viewers as well as by the other participants that have been running and hitting their head. I want to ask them this, I want to ask them that, and also by the guests. Okay, so we have Dr. Jay to continue with their closing statement.
Yeah, as I was saying, I have three important points to mention in this closing statement. First, because the point of herd immunity by Dr. Prashant. According to the recent projections, the basic reproductive number of the virus, which is also known as R naught, has been increased from 3.3 to 5.7. With that, we can project that the herd immunity can be only attained if 82% of the population is infected. Will we really condemn 82% of the population through the coronavirus to save the other 14%? I don't think so. Next, coming over countries of South Korea. South Korea is such a small country. South Korea, other small countries, they have controlled the coronavirus without lockdown, because they have. I'm not talking exactly. Compared to India, they have only 4 streets, so they can install mobile testing booths, and they can they can effectively do the contact tracing. It's not the case in such a big country in India. Next, Dr. Arun asked how long should the lockdown be extended? Those were my fellow mates. I'd like to answer them. The lockdown should be at least extended till India reaches the peak. After India reaches the peak, lockdown can be relaxed in phase-wise manner, as Dr. Prashant said. That's a very good point by Dr. Prashant. But the lockdown should not be relaxed now. We are not even near the peak. Once we attain the peak, we can progressively relax the lockdown. With this, I'm ending my closing statement. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jay. Before we ask you questions, any more questions, because from your closing statement, we also have our questions pondering in our head. Before we ask you a question, we'll hear the closing statement by the FORD team so that we could just conclude and come to an open discussion. Yes, closing statement by the FORD team. That is Dr. Janardhan. Sorry, Janardhan.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's been very glad, like few people spoke about the South Korea and South Korea thing. So when you think about the South Korea, they follow the person elimination method, which is very costly, and they have the very good health coverage when compared to India. I think they have the very good universal health coverage and stance of South Korea. So that is the reason maybe. So and taking a stance like economical reforms. So I have a question to Harini Bharat. She said about the economic reforms. So the 20 lakh package, like the Reserve Bank governor revised the repo rates and reverse repo rate. So what the point is, like the government have funds. I mean the 20 lakh funds is not the government fund; it's the stimulus given by RBI. So you have to take in consent. So the funds which is being pumped in is like a lot of spikes. For example, the MSC sectors. So the 3,000 lakh crores which be invested, like given to them, they can only pursue the loan if they have been taking loan previously. That's the thing here. So and taking a stance of migrant worker, there are more than 30,000 crores migrant worker. So giving them food, chana, 1 kg of rice and chana doesn't make a work here. And it can be only revised if they have a proper state government take a stance on a commodity, state exhibit the Commodity Act, Commodity Essential Commodity Act, and APMC, that is Agriculture Product Marketing Committee, which they take in good power, they can build this thing up. And taking a stance of these things like pandemic, controlling the pandemic, like we have to follow we have to follow a precise scheme, like setting out the proper strategies here. So we can able to see a lot of spikes here, but I agree. But basically, we have to understand the Labor Act has been totally vanished. So there is no security for the doctor who working there, who is the employee also going there. At this point, there is no money also. The government don't have funds for run the government because due to lack of monetary and fiscal policies. So this is statements here. So it is like we can't simply say this government here all this thing. We have to make sure like we haven't chosen the proper government yet here. That's the reason. And the act of acting towards the pandemic is very poor, and the infrastructure also is very poor. So what we have to do, the government have to save the people, but the people are pumping out the funds to the PM care. It's not been took over here. This is very pathetic. So the financing have to set forward here, and medical assistance for the poor must be brought up very clear, and the reforms Employment Act, employment rights must be taken here because it violates the Constitution also. The 21 parts of Indian Constitution assures the Employment Act, employment right which has been managed. So until this has been set up, the pandemic will be wavering here and there. So it initially starts from the scotch. Don't look up the sky like the medicines, all this. These are the secondary phase. Look up the small countries like So Cuba you took upon compared to USA or like Italy, because how we have to take care, note on them. That's what I say. Thank you.
Thank you, Janardhan. Like we definitely have a lot of more questions for you after this. Despite the few things you have also given us answers for from your first speech. So we have come to the end of Informal Debate, and I have to applaud, I mean, we all have to applaud for all the participants who have taken tremendous preparation time and efforts to talk out here and also put out a voice, just instigate all of us watching you and all of them present here about what is actually happening in the world. So a clap for you, a round of applause. So Going on, the 4 team has given a brilliant view of why exactly should lockdown be relaxed, giving a solution on how the government should handle the lockdown with certain economic reforms they might be lacking. And also one of the speaker has also given us proper RBI statistics. I think some of them went over my head, but some of them I could hear. Then also about the one of the speaker also gave the scenario, the plight of the migrant workers and other lower income workers. So that is applauded for. From the against team, we also have the first speaker going and talking about the COVID deals. Well, that's a term which is nice. Moreover, about the social about the environmental impact lockdown has been made. And also one of the speaker has also pointed out the very fact that various government schemes that has also come into effect for the different strata of people. And I think this was very informative for all those, especially me actually. So for all those who have been hearing this and who have been watching this live. So this is a well prepared debate, and we applaud for each of your information. Now we move on to an informal open session where the guests and the participants will answer the questions which has been posted in the chat forum, and also which has been given directly to the participants and to the guest himself. We'll start with Dr. Shiv giving his opinion on this topic. Do you think, sir, do we need this lockdown to be relaxed, or should you think, like one of the speakers said, we need to reach the peak time? I'm not sure how he would have told that we need to reach the peak time. Do we need to reach the peak number before the lockdown should be lockdown be relaxed? What is your opinion on this, sir?
Yeah, I think it is a very thoughtful question. When we talk about, and we had a very, very nice debate on this topic, bringing out almost all the perspectives that we can think of. If you ask for my personal opinion, I would say that we need to understand the science, what is going on. Okay, though we can debate for relaxation or against relaxation, we need to understand what is the science behind this. So if you ask me, though we are implementing lockdown, we also need to understand that is there an optimum way to do it. Okay, so we are all aware about the pros and cons of implementing this lockdown. So on one side, we are looking at this lockdown, which has been continuously, it has been extending continuously back to back. This has definitely led to a lot of problems when it comes to our country's economy, be it our marginalized sectors. But at the same time, I cannot advocate saying that I'm against the lockdown. All right. So if you ask for my personal opinion, I would say that I would, based on the science, I would actually go with saying that there is a need for brief relaxation periods followed by new lockdown periods, which would be more important, or which would be more or less. I wouldn't say it will be less, but it would be better. It will actually be better. So it is not about when we are reaching the peak. So one of the participants said that once we reach the peak, we can remove the lockdown. But what if even on this particular date of 31st July, we do not reach the peak? And what if because of certain unknown confounders or the random other factors, the peak gets further delayed? That is not sure. All the projections, there's a famous saying that all the projections should be considered wrong unless and until you go through that period and find out that it was correct. Okay, so we cannot just rely on those projections. So it is not advisable that we wait for that peak period, and till then we should extend our lockdown. So when it comes to science, I would personally prefer of having periods of lockdown with some periods of relaxation in between. This relaxation can be a proper relaxation. I mean, it can be a relaxation to travel also. It can be a relaxation to even move, because if we go to some basic studies when it comes to how much mobility has to do with reducing the pandemic or the burden of pandemic, you will find certain studies. So let's go to a study done by, I don't remember the name because he's a Chinese scientist and it is difficult to remember the names. But then this was the person who discovered the SARS coronavirus. All right.
In the
So he
Batuman, sir.
also made, yes.
Batuman, like I also forgot the name, but she was well
It's
known as a
Dr. Vian
Batuman.
Lian. Vian Lian.
I think she is a
Yes,
Batuman.
yes, exactly. Yes. So this guy has published another research on the SARS coronavirus 2, and he predicted certain, what do you say? He suggested the peak would come for the world in April second half and May first half. All right, but that did not happen. Because during that time he did not understand that certain countries will be reacting with measures like lockdown. So the things are not always the same. So the projections, we cannot rely on them. There was yet another study. I think this one was published in Lancet, if I remember. They studied. So they had this multiple cities in Wuhan, and they considered Wuhan and certain other cities around Wuhan, and they tried to plot the peak for each of these cities. Okay, and then they made the projections stating two particular scenarios, one pertaining to the mobility restriction of the people, and second pertaining to the transmissibility reduction of the disease. So what was amazing to see is that even if you restrict the mobility to 100%, you cannot control the peak. You can control the peak only if you reduce the transmissibility of the disease, which can be done only by measures like social distancing, preventing yourselves using PPEs, masks, awareness amongst the people so that they don't panic. Those things were placed at a higher level when it comes to the science of it. So I personally, if you ask for my opinion, I would like to boil it down or boil it all down to this, that I would prefer that because we have not yet reached the peak, and the next projection that we have says that it would be around 31st July. It can be actually thought of relaxing the lockdown a bit right now, and maybe again implementing it after a week or so. But then I think that would be better. We need to optimize where and how much we can allow our economy to lose, how much we can allow. When we are even looking at the deaths due to COVID, we have seen certain diseases who were much more, who caused much more deaths than COVID, who are causing much more deaths than COVID right now. So just banking on the fear of death for extending the lockdown with no period of relaxation sounds like a bit too much to me, and not actually very scientific, because we also need to optimize our resources, right? So that is what the entire economics is all about, the entire health science that we discuss about. It is important to optimize the results. So I particularly believe that the cycles of lockdown with periods of relaxation till we reach the peak and beyond for some more months would be an ideal strategy to go about for this lockdown. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insight. Does the guests have any questions directed against the participants? Janardhan, then Jai Surya, then Ajay, Haribala, and Pratika. Do you have any specific questions against the participants? Any moderators, do you have any questions against?
Yes, I have two. I have it against one person for relaxation. Anybody can answer. See, you're advocating for the relaxation, and a recent incident where the government relaxed it for a 1 day, which I want to definitely put it out here. It's the opening of the liquor shops. Okay. So that without making that, I can't close this debate. So for the relaxation, anybody can answer this. The opening of the liquor shop by the government to, I think, for economy purpose or something, but I think it's putting a lot of clusters which are yet to come. We'll wait for that. And yeah, after this, against the relaxation, anybody can answer that. But I would more specifically ask Haribala because she had said someone at a very good job is still suffering, but I think they have a good bank balance. Like you stated an example of pilot, but I think the poor are more vulnerable. You said said, see, if a pilot, he has also lost his job and running out of his salary, but I think he'll have a good amount of bank balance to at least to feed himself and his family for the upcoming thing. I think it is the vulnerable people that are at a question right now because of COVID-19. And I want to put insights on that. So first we'll ask anybody for the relaxation team to speak, and then Haribala or anyone will answer.
Definitely. Just a note here, this question about task mark has also been asked by one of the viewers. So we would recommend the FOR team, one of the speakers, to either raise your hand or just put up your hand virtually so that we will let you talk. Anybody? Yeah, anybody else apart from Janardhan? No, right? Janardhan? Yes, go Janardhan.
So basically about the liquor shop. So if you take a stance on our like Kamaraj period, there was no liquor shop. Still the government wasn't making fun. So this is something like if you see into the Indian constitution, the country or the state must not sell any substance or entity which harms the citizens. So that's what it means. So and the cane which they get that fermentation process to molasses. So this all the things happen up there. It is very harmful actually. So here the strategy goes up here. The ADMK, the ruling party, is saying we should not sell. The ADM party is like saying we have to sell liquors, but the ruling party sells the liquor, but our opposition party says like we should not sell the liquor. But the shady and mirror smoking and mirror plays like the ADM party, the opposite party have their distillery centers. They own the majority stake there. So that's the thing, pathetic situation in Tamil Nadu here. So taking stance is like something like is very pathetic. Taking stance in many other ways to cultivate financial stance for the state wise, like making a good official policies like making up like substantial lines like agriculture thing, all those things are there. So a lot of things happening that they can do a better chance. But task mark is like something always it's not a healthy way to do it, because I'm also against it, and actually like the nation must go against it, the government must go against it, but the central government is supporting it. So we can't do it as a single person, we can't do as a state citizen or a national citizen, we can't do it until like nation enforces it. We can do it, but only by voting them proper stance. That's it we can do.
Not that I support the opening of Taskmark, but do you also realize the opening of Taskmark has boosted India's economy to another level from day one, like during the lockdown? So what do you?
I'm sorry just to interrupt you. If I could, I'm sorry. If I could make a point.
Yeah, let Prashant answer.
The question on Taskmark, I have 2 points to raise. One, that the case came up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has mandated that the government reopen Taskmark or the liquor shop. So going on, on a order that has been issued by the Supreme Court would not be apt to comment. And secondly, with respect to the cluster of cases that we might be expecting. So as of now, like when you haven't seen a cluster of cases arising from the liquor shops, there is nothing much to comment about it. And also the scenario that there is a directive issued by the court that online liquor can again be sold. So this is something just to alleviate, the opening of liquor shops. It's a court order, and going on it wouldn't be apt.
And Prashant,
and addressing the points you made, like a follow-up question you asked me regarding the economy is already in a critical stage, because you can see like the COVID-19 is not only a stance like this reason for this economy lockdown. So you can see like this 20 lakh crores is already like it's not even 25,000 lakh is being provided to people here. No one is like putting money. But what the government have done, like they limited the for example, if you're selling a plot or like selling any vehicle which more than 10 lakhs, like they reduced the commission which you pay for the central government. That's what it is. So there is not something they have to follow like how US is doing. Like the Federal Reserve is pumping out funds and the government also is pumping out funds. But here only the RBI stimulus is here. That's the reason. So the Shakti Kantan Das yesterday said like I'm ready to the repo rate. The base point to 4 and the reverse repo for 3.75. That is actually very vague, because what happened yesterday, the speech gave and the Sensex towards the Nifty had fallen from -30 to 100. because he gave a negative impact. Like no one want to give a loan. If like it goes like this, if you give a loan if you can't recover the loan back, that is like non-performing asset. What happens? Gives a huge burden to the bank. Later, the bank becomes bankrupt. So at the end of the day, the people are only suffering because you have more than 5 lakhs. That's what the thing happened up here. So the only way to stimulate like that is like, see, this is actually bringing up the new crisis, like twin sheet crisis, which happened on 2008 and 2009, which may grab a lot of people jobs, which actually making up like SME and MSCs are going out jobs because they have no funds. Like if they give, see, the 3 lakh crores they said, they're giving only 20% of the loan. The person who have acquired, that too, the person who have acquired loan previously, they can only acquire it. They will only give you 20% of cap. So it's like under guarantee. This small, what is the government giving guarantee and all will take a long time for processing. So this is a very shady and mirror play. That's what I want to say.
Janardhanan seems to be one proper pure anti-Modi.
No, sir. You can see like
no. I was just joking.
Sir,
it's
a party.
I like to make a comment.
I complete this. Sir, I mean, a doctor can be an engineer or a pilot, but a defense minister can be a finance minister. How does it work?
I think we are getting into politics more than why do we need a relaxation or not.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I should rather say that we do not need the economic policy of the
When a
government.
country can build a 3 crores worth, 3 crores worth statue, why
that
can
was
invest on infrastructure?
I was answering the
That's what I
question.
Can I put a point? If you dignitaries please allow me.
Yes. For the
We are
next question,
talking about a package of like the 20 lakh package what the government gave. We are pointing out on a package what the government is giving. But have anyone have noticed this is the opportunity that they are using to waive away the loans of people who have just fled the country. If they had given them debts, if they had paid their debts long back, we would have been in a very better position, I guess. You know, we have been using our money from the beginning for different things. We have just sent away people from our countries. I don't want to bring up names. You scrutinize a package that is going to at least help some sector of people. But we don't want to comment about loans that are being waived off by big business tycoons. Why is that then?
not that it can't
I would
be
like to actually
can be
answer this.
answered.
I would like to answer this if the flow permits.
Actually, it's against the topic. I mean, going off the topic.
So you're actually going off the topic.
Yeah, I think our second round will have more about the financial issues.
No, I think it's more going to be a campaign of the politicians and the parties, I guess. Now everyone says Arnab now.
Yeah.
Everyone's just banging the benches and talking about the government
Just
package.
the reality in India, ma'am. That's what happened.
It's always good to know the economy of the country with respect to coronavirus. So it's good to know that.
Yeah, let us just relax, breathe in and breathe
And
out.
Mohamika, what this also brings to our attention, you just think of this. I mean, this is just a thought. The first thing we think of relaxing in a lockdown is the liquor shops. Okay, so we need to understand that on the one end, we are all the people who are advocating against addiction, against substance abuse, against alcoholism and domestic violence, or the all these subsidiaries which rise from alcoholism.
Yes.
And the first thing that comes to our government's mind is relaxing the alcohol or the liquor shops. So it's not about condemning. It is not about condemning the step of the government, but it's about understanding the fact and the reality. That think of the magnitude and involvement of people behind these industries. Can be as doctors or as people of I'll talk about myself as a person of community medicine. We devote a really huge number of hours behind de-addiction programs and drives and campaigns. But when it comes to such a thing, that when we see these things happening around us, this really brings to light the hidden mafia that supports this in the first place, the involvement of the government, the involvement of the major manufacturers who are backed by certain politicians. The corona has in a way exposed all of this, and I feel very thankful to this pandemic that we are able to appreciate these facts. I mean, it was really a big concern when I saw that the first thing about relaxation which came in their mind after the essentials was the liquor shops. So
Yes.
let's just face it.
Yeah, we had to face it. Yes, sir.
Really a
That's
problem.
definitely that. That is definitely that. That was a very good insight, and that's a very good realization all of us has realized over the lockdown period. I think that's a pro for the lockdown, anyways. Going for the against, yeah, Arun, sir.
Actually, I want to add on a few points along with like Shiv's point that some report have said that about collective revenue loss for the India for the country is about 97,000 crore for the month of April. So they have said that uncertainly this quantum amount like this loss could be like managed by the state governments itself. Like they have said like improving somewhat in May 2020. It is like loss in the April. So that is what in the 1 month period we can see like allowing liquor shops and rising the excise duty on the liquors, and some states even raise the VAT on the petrol and diesel also. So these kind of things are put up by the state governments. So they want to do save the economic of the government, also they have to run the government. So these are the points given by the government, like because we can see the one side of it, like beer and alcohol we can see, but on the position where they are is they want to be stable, like that is what they are saying. But we can see that even in the corona period we can see the reports like in Tamil Nadu like more than 100 crores was in one day.
Right.
We are asking for
person.
So people are asking for 5,000 rupees. You can government can pay for 5,000 that to pocket. Rather than reforms, they want the money. So how could like 100 crores in a day can on state people can give for this alcohol?
Exactly.
Definitely.
So
one person from the government even told us that we don't have money even to give salaries to government employees. That's why
Yes,
we just opened the shop.
Definitely, that is quite a thing.
So our salaries, Arun, our salaries are coming from the liquor money, okay?
And also the fact like the government started privatizing things. That's the thing. Which makes
Yeah, that has been going on.
That's a whole new debate.
They will sell Corona too.
Until all the people should change the behavior, they have to like adopt like what's going on. They have to know the science behind this corona and how far the country is going to be faces this economic crisis in the future. Until they know the truth, until they reveal that we can't like all the doctors and even the politicians in the government, they can't do anything, because the people should understand the government's interventions and they should attend to that. Because so far we are living in the like democratic life, and so we don't. This is the first time for the whole world to face this crisis. So we don't know, like we don't have any experience.
Definitely. It is like one great recession from that French Revolution happening all over again, because the whole world is affected economically. And since we are all interdependent on globalization and trade, so our economy is bound to go down. And I think the only solution government came up in a jiff is just open up all the liquor shops. So basically, sirs, both of you are community medicine graduates. So both of you are going to earn money by advising people to de-addict, at the same time getting a salary from what they're doing. So that's the irony of it, and we have to accept the fact, and that's how life goes on. So
Taj, the poll we have given the question called attendees like viewers' opinion regarding this topic, about like 53% are against relaxation of lockdown and 47% for relaxation of lockdown. So they
I think those are people.
Respected dignitaries, can I add a point?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the only sole even I wanted to emphasize was awareness, which I also told in my speech. And if we start talking more about awareness and people, even if they have a fever or cough, to come up to the government, and that's, I really emphasized on that, I think things would go a lot more smoother, you know. And even if people consume liquor, or that's where the salary comes from, but just have safe drinking and live with it. Maybe just don't drink and fall on the street because no one's there. That's it. We could just tell.
I think in the future we have an IFPWD president here, so we can actually tell him do something, do some awareness program that will help the people not to drink, even though the government opens up the shops.
Even in our kids are doing that, but no one is ready to hear our voice.
Definitely. That's what all of us doctors have been saying. Stop smoking, stop drinking. You don't have to do it. Stop drinking tea. Hey, where is my tea? That's how it goes, you know. Like even I have been telling people to stop drinking tea. Not that I have stopped drinking tea. So that's how it goes. So let's move on. Are there any specific questions to the participants from the guests?
No, one more. One attendee, one viewer have a question. They want to say something like to those who are against the notion. Not only poor people, but even medium, even the top businessmen can face the cash crunch, which impact survival and induce liquidation. So they are saying like this is the point we have to go for against the notion. Who are not like talking against the notion? They want to say.
I think someone already raised it. As far as I understand, I think Haribala raised it, saying that everyone is going through this.
Everyone's affected equally.
Yeah, and I think
it's a matter of life now.
You see, Arun, I think there's a very sort of a valid point there that everyone is affected. Though our sympathy and empathy lies with the marginalized and poor people, we also need to understand that the people who were into these big businesses, their turnover and their debts that they had taken to run the business, it has all come into a stop. I mean, that has also affected them quite a lot. So if we are looking into, so let's not think of just the Ambanis, Tatas and Birlas. We also need to understand other big companies. So when I was talking about multinational companies, okay, so many of them have actually not been able to, their call centers are off. Their other services which they were providing, their demand is not there. So the entire thing has stopped. I mean, even they are suffering. But what we can claim as of now is that because they had earned quite a lot during their yesteryears, they are still in a position to survive. But when it comes to their businesses, it has suffered a major toll that we cannot deny. Definitely it has. It might have suffered a setback which would have set it back to maybe 5 or 6 years. It is possible. It is quite possible. I mean, that notion cannot be entirely discarded. Though definitely our sympathy and empathy lies with the poor because they do not have that balance from where they can survive this period. But when it comes to the current preservation of the livelihood, I would say the rich and the poor are maybe not equally, but they are all affected. That cannot be discarded entirely.
Definitely, sir. That makes a lot of sense. That really puts the fact forward. Also, are there any other questions directed to the participants in particular? Sirs, Shiv sir and Arun sir?
I am pretty much happy with the discussion we had actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think all the participants have come up with a lot of information, a lot of perspective for that matter. That is what makes this debate something different from the usual. And it's a lot of thing to talk in front of a camera, to talk in front of no audience. I mean, we're seeing a visual audience. So this has been a very informative session. Is there anything you want to put forward? Anybody in this panel? Any viewers? Does the viewers want any answers to any questions that's been pondering in your mind? We have a lot of doctors, we have techies here, so anything, anything at all. So
even you ask the second question, I like to answer that.
Yeah, sure, of course.
I want to hear that question one more time. So get
Fahima, you're against the question. Unmute.
I'm sorry. Haribala, while you're stating your speech, you mentioned that a pilot, you mentioned an example called pilot, but anybody who's working well, he's also suffering a major setback, and the poor is also equally. I would strongly agree with the point that Shiv Joshi sir had just now mentioned, that the extremes, that the people at debts and people in the poor are both vulnerable. I had actually earlier questioned you to give an answer on this only. That yeah. So
thank you,
Hari. I can answer with my points, my view of my point of view, that the expectation among the below poverty line people will not be that much. They won't expect much out of their living. But when you consider a person who have spent his life comfortably, he would have many more expectation than he could spend during that time. So I think that expectation expectation matters here. Though everybody are affected, everybody are vulnerable, though yes, I accept all the people are affected, but expectation matters. So when you have high expectation, when you are denied, you will have some worry that you have not provided with. Whereas this is not a situation with the poor people. They have lived their life with a low expectation even during the time of during the past times. So I hope that due to their low expectation now, I hope that they won't get affected.
I think it's a need for the poor, but it is a luxury for the rich.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I add a point over this thing, like for the
Janardhan, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, she said about the pilot thing actually, but let's take a small example. During 2011 or 2013, a normal engineer was earning 20,000, a fresher graduate, but right now he's getting 15,000. But you can think about it, right? Like how these things up. Like one sovereign gold, 7 years back, it was like very cheap. It's less than 20,000 or nearby 22,000. But right now, it's rocketing up to 40,000. So we can see inflation here. So we can't comment about it. Like, for example, a doctor is spending more than postgraduate. If he's going for good universities, 1 crore, or more than goes beyond it. We can't check this thing. For example, a pilot, a lot of circumstances. Every year have to give his medical and has to go for a pre-check. That costs more than 30 to 40 lakhs actually. So that's what. So we have, for the profession wise, we have a good pay as well as we have a good we have to invest more also. That's what. So we can't just comment like this person is earning a lot, all these things. But we can comment one thing: the government subsidies that's given to MNCs, cutting out tax, all these things that you can comment. That is more legible. That you have
to make one point clear. Actually, my standpoint was that I just gave an example of a pilot to say that everybody are affected, not only the poor people. Everybody are affected. That's why I.
That's all right. I think participants who have the freedom to select their examples. That's all right.
Yeah.
Let's not drag her for that.
Yeah. The debate was well structured. We have touched all the aspects, mainly the economical aspects, the social aspect, and definitely the real aspect of health. Okay, whether the health has been taken care, are the people safe in the lockdown or not. We have touched all the aspects of it, and I'm pretty sure this has been very informative for all the people who have attended and for all of us, and for Shiv sir as well. And you have also given us an extremely nice perspective of the situation we are at right now. So about the results will be given off by tomorrow, and there's been a good teamwork between both of you guys, so I applaud for that alone as well. Yes, Dr.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Actually, we are like medicos, we are in medical field. We only see it as corona as like kind of in towards the medicine, but talking with the techie persons and engineers and so many like seeing the corona with the economic aspects and all the aspects, it's like so many determinants. So I want to ask one question. Being an organization, like what kind of like some suggestions like for migrant people or some people, like what can be done through an NGO? So I hope you can understand.
Can I answer that, sir?
Yeah, you can give some suggestions what can be done even for the even as an individuals, even organizations apart from government. Okay, what can be done? See, like giving serving food and serving sanitizers we can do for like for some days, but this going to be like for next 1 year maybe. We don't know that how long it's going to be. So what are the suggestions we can give for an organization, even for any organizations or even for individuals?
Yes, sir. I could give this in 2 point of view, maybe with an individual and an organization. As also, individual, as us who have.
Kritika, just
yes,
one minute. This question is purely off the topic, so you don't have to stay for the or the against the question.
No,
so
I'm going to tell. Yeah, I get it. As individual, we who have a person with a meager income or a middle class, anyone, we could do our best. We could contact some NGO or some people. Even there are many places where ashram they tell, right, often kids are there. We could go and give them something as much as our capacity could allow. And there are certain organizations have always been functioning, and we could contact them through all the social media services and give whatever we can. And there are certain people who haven't felt the impact of this lockdown as much because they've had maybe a good reserve of money at the back of them. Maybe we can suggest them through the government, or the government can ask rich people who are tycoons to tell them, yeah, you can do this. Maybe feed the poor at least, or they can give basic rations. As US, they borrowed maybe medicine from us. We can ask all the countries to come and donate or contribute whatever they can for people who are suffering. It's the time that I think humanity is standing first. So it's no wrong in asking help to people, because it's the life that matters, I guess. Because we are like, it's a coin now. Either side, it's actually sad because people are dying out of hunger, but we are witnessing people are also dying out of the disease, which is 3,000 plus. So we could join together. As this debate, we engineers, doctors, everyone came around, a spread of thought. Maybe anyone can come and do this. We can plead to the government or business tycoons. They can arrange.
And
Airlifting people have also been done.
all that people are expecting are only two things: food and shelter. One, we can directly give it to them, or we can at least spread the word that there's a need here, so that if people who are able to do it and who could afford to do it can do it. So spreading the word and directly giving it to them are the
Balance,
only two things I
exactly.
think we would be could do at this point of time.
Yeah.
So I rather suggest at this point of time, many people lost a job. Like if they go for migrant laborers, they don't have proper reforms. They don't have. The people who run for the daily square of meal basically have to understand this. As an NGO, if you don't mean, so you can see you can do a lot of edging works for them. Like for example, there are a lot of people who make masks for less than 10 rupees, where you can initially make a way for them, just a loop for them, which can initially support something. Even if they're buying a curd rice or something like in Amma food, that makes some sense, right? Or 3 rupees that fulfill their things like that they can make. And regarding right now the standardization kit, like the people go around the street, or they do a private wise. Like I've seen in Delhi, I've seen news people are making that spray kit so that they can spray towards vehicles, all these things, cars. They charge 20 rupees for bike and 50 rupees for this thing. Such things you can initially support them, which we have to repay it back. But initially at this point of time, you can making a sustainable. This point of view, making a sustainable job for them, right? So no work is something criticized or something. Something we do. We are making money in a good way. That's something we have to address this thing. So that's what. These are the things we can do this thing.
Very important point I would like to add. Also create awareness among the people about, as if I'm not wrong, Hari Balaji said about Jandan Yojana, about Maganrega, all the government schemes that could directly benefit them. Maganrega is providing jobs to people, or to all the migrants, and also to people who are available, who are here in the country. So Maganrega or Jandan Yojana, these things can directly benefit them through money.
And
Yeah.
I have a point that rather than going at a bigger prospect, then also including government, why don't we start from the base? Like, for example, if I say a region of Anna Nagar locality, I know Anna Nagar has A, B, C on all the types. Let's say like a group of people from like maybe your 2 to 3 streets can look after their own people. So it's called the at the base level. We ask the people like say 2 to 3 streets, they can form a association. They can take care of the people inside them. That makes it the job easier. The well-versed people of that area can look upon their people, so the amount of contribution from their pockets is also normal, as well as the people who are getting benefited are also they'll have good food and good shelter. If we start at the base level like this, when we come out and see at a outer prospect, you can see most of the people got benefited by this. Rather than targeting big tycoons and big businessmen, we can start at the lower level. As an NGO organization, we can enforce this, like your street people, you take care of them. Definitely a street will have high, low, everyone, so someone has to take up the responsibility. And if government could, they can make a interaction with the people of that area through that one person. You get that?
Fine
I
one.
know councillors are there, everyone, but
No,
this
but
I've been thinking.
And we should also support local restaurants and local shops, which are, at least open even during these times. We can buy even goods from them.
Stay home,
That's
eat
also,
outside.
Yeah, okay.
I have seen nearby house. I have seen women are making food and supplying to people at low cost. That is more effective. So we don't need to go. Basically, at this point of time, it's not like I don't like this government or something like a monopoly over this one person, but at a humanitarian basis, we have to work upon it. But the government speculating way, one group of 3 people are I don't want to point out here. One group of people are reason for this thing. There was a large speculations and a lot of miscommunication happening up. So everything works, but if you understand the reason behind the humanity, that's how it works. So making it enrich to people, that's actually a huge stance that take a lot of patience. But again, this throwing away this criticism, all these things like it's good, ma'am. Funding is funny. Funding, helping out is good, but funding, at this point of time, is always a serious thing because we doesn't know what is the need of people. That's what is their thing. But taking stance as a community-wise, that they can do all these things. That's what they can do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank Shiv brother. Actually, I was like 2-3 days before only I called Shivanna. He said like obviously no doubt, nothing. He's been my well-wisher and my brother, and thank you so much for coming now. So
thank you so much, sir. And also one of our viewers is a chartered accountant apparently, and he has given a point that for the wage workers, we can also amend the laws. He has said illegally we can amend the labor laws and accordingly suit the needs of various provisions. So I'm just putting it forward because it's been put up on chat. I'm not sure how many of you can read it. So
that is actually have a thing, ma'am, because if you see the Industrial Act of 1975, 1957, that is the act mean. So if for even the central have the provision, ma'am. So example, if you see the railway department have said that we won't give overtime dues. So we have something called 35A of Railway Act. So there are a lot of things are there. So they're making a way, like we have a lot of loopholes. So they're making utilize things. So certain things are like this. So that you can't go on that way, but that can be amended as a central provisions only. Or for example, I say one serious thing happening up here. Recently, a week back, I saw the state government enforce the Electricity Bill of Amendment Act of 2013. So they have curbing out every individual get 100 units free, but right now they're curbing out. Now the people like saying like we don't need to give free electricity to agriculture people like farmers. Lot of things are going up. So you can't do as an NGO. You need a community power. So that's what I mean is like government. See this 20 lakh funds they said. They said like 20 lakh crores funds they said. So the state government, central government is giving a direct open shot, like you can accrue 3% of loan directly. But if you want a 5% loan, the state must agree few things, which breaches the state sovereignty. Like few things must be under the central, few things under the state. That's what the Constitution, like 22 part says that. But you can't sell yourself, right? That's what these things are. A lot of speculations going up that we can't do it, but we can do it together. Like suing up on a labor act, all these things is fine. But what you do, it doesn't go on long time. But at this point of time, you can't do anything. That's what I'm saying. Like
yes, definitely.
Yes.
It's definitely a long-term measure which has been put. But right now, regarding our topic, we have definitely come to a conclusion of how lockdown should be relaxed with certain norms, certain things that have to be taken care. And then we have also had our insights from the guests and successfully come to an end of this debate session. Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Shiv Joshi, for joining us and taking your time off from your busy schedule, and Dr. Arun again for joining and being the great host. And also all the participants, you guys have done a tremendous work and tremendous effort and been a really, really lively group of people. And also for the moderators, you guys also, thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Maybe the next one will be announced as soon as possible. Like
yes.
Round 2 will be there.
Thank you, IFPWD, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.